Hey everyone, just want to do a quick video here. And this video is for everybody that is not quite yet awake as far as what is going on behind the scenes with the whole government agenda. Not just as far as the COVID-19 so-called pandemic, but also just overall. Just a bunch of things that they have done in the past with us, doing now, and plan to do in the future. So I just kind of want to go over, before I became awake of, what's been going on with the elitist agenda. So there is about 10,000 people in the world that is like the top one, the top 0.0001% of the population. And this is the trillionaire organizations and the billionaire people. So, you can pretty much imagine who those are. So what these are is these are the elitist organizations. These are the shadow government, which there are kind of subdivisions of that. But I just kind of wanted to make this video not really for that reason, although if you have specific questions about anything that I'm talking about, want to know further, definitely contact me through my Facebook page. This is where I'm going to post this video, and it's also going to be on YouTube, so you can contact me through YouTube if you have any specific questions more about what I'm talking about. But the main reason I want to make this video is because I was just like you about 10 years ago when a friend of mine came in and mentioned the word Illuminati to me. And he said, this is real. They control the entertainment industry. They control the sports industry. They control the whole world, basically. And I said, that's crap. I said, they're not real. I said, I've heard of the Illuminati, but they're not real. And he said, no, they're real. It's a fact. He said, I've been researching it for a little bit, and I know that it's true. In fact, I'm, making a documentary about it and all this other stuff. And I said, okay, whatever. And kind of left it alone. Didn't really talk about it with him at that time. And then fast forward a couple years later, when I was on a trip to Vegas, and I met with a friend of mine, and he started talking about it, how the control works, what they're controlling, why they're controlling it, how they're controlling it. And I started to listen to him a little bit more. This was the friend that I met in Vegas, which is different from the friend that had mentioned this to me at first, a couple years before that. And I started to pay a little bit more attention, and I thought, some of this sounds true, but some of this sounds really far-fetched. And so I kind of took some of it, to heart, and other parts of it I said no. So then, literally the day that I got back from Vegas back to LA, where I was living at the time, my roommate had friends over. And these friends were talking about this whole thing. And I said, wow, this is weird. I was just on a trip to Vegas with a friend of mine, and now these people, my roommate's friends, are talking about this stuff. And I told them, hey, I was just on a trip to Vegas, and he talked about this stuff too. So they're like, yeah. And they gave me some more information. So then I said, well, wait a second. This might be, I don't know, there might be something to this. So that's when I started really, really heavily researching all this stuff, and went through countless videos, went through countless people in the know about this. And over time, I looked specifically for the ones that had the proof, that had the documentation, that had, everything that I could possibly need to make an educated decision on whether this stuff is real, and how, what if it was real, what's not real, that kind of stuff. And what I looked for besides that is the consistencies. So if all of these different people were saying these things and they were all consistent, and these people didn't know each other at all, you know, then hey, there might be something to this stuff. Then I started to listen to the reasons behind all this, you know, behind why all this stuff was going on. And it started to make sense to me. Again, some of it was like, I don't really, you know, believe it, a little far fetched, but because if, you know, if everything they were saying were true, then, you know, we would already be under, you know, complete control, and there could be argument to be made that we already are, but just in other ways too. So again, I didn't take everything I saw. So I had a lot of different criteria on whether I believe something were true or not. Then I started to see consistencies in within that same criteria, meaning different people who mentioned the same thing, didn't know each other, you know, all the documentation, and some of this stuff they allowed to leak on purpose to scare people. And so kind of looking into that. And not just to scare people, but to get that 1% of the population to talk about it that doesn't believe in this stuff, and then to be made to look like they're crazy. So that, you know, the other 99% will say, well, these people are crazy. So, you know, I started to understand the agenda behind it. Then I started to see consistencies in the events that were happening. You know, false flags, you know, government cover-ups as far as certain events and how they really happen compared to how they say they were happen, and the documentation and the videos proving that the way that they were saying it happened, it didn't actually happen that way. And then with the media, you know, Operation Mockingbird, where the media basically, you know, keeps saying the same thing, you know, to everybody, no matter if you're watching a news station in New York or California or Illinois or Texas, and every single news station reports a specific story with the same exact wording, not just the same way, but the same exact wording. And then I learned about I believe it's seven, you know, companies that, you know, that own the entire media. And, you know, and that kind of translated to these organizations being in cahoots with, you know, the other elitist organizations, and part of that, you know, 10,000 people that control the world, the multi-trillion-dollar companies and the multi-billionaires. And so I started to look at it, and then over time, and I still research, you know, variations of this literally every day, just to make sure that I'm, you know, right with what I say. And a lot of it has to do with health. And you say, well, how does that have to do with health, right? Because I'm a, you know, certified nutritionist, certified hypnotherapist, certified holistic health practitioner. So how does this relate to health? Well, number one, the similarities between what comes out compared to what actually works in the natural health industry. 9 out of 10 things that I see about vitamins, minerals, herbs, homeopathy, you know, different natural treatments, natural therapies, that kind of stuff, I will look at it, and by now I've had enough experience to say, this is crap, this is bogus, this does not work, this is snake oil, you know. And so I'm very specific with what I will deem as facts as far as what works, and I have different criteria for that as well. So in a way, it's similar as far as what my criteria is for determining whether something is fact or fiction. So the other way that it relates to health is a big part of the agenda here is to make and keep people sick. There is no mistake about it. Make and keep people sick. And they do that in several ways, and that's a whole nother video, but you know, if you want more specifics on how they do that, and I know that a lot of you watching will kind of know some of the things that I'm talking about as far as how they do that. But again, and I do have all the information on that, so contact me if you want more detail on that. But again, the main reason for making this video is to say to those of you that are still not quite awake as far as what's really going on behind the scenes with this coronavirus as well as with other things, to say that I was just like you at one point, and it took me quite a while to determine that this stuff was actually real, this stuff was actually happening. Or I should say, some of it was real, some of it was happening. There are definitely other things that are even too far fetched for me that I say no. This is not going. This is not true, or I haven't seen enough proof that that this is true. Hence, lizard people. Let's just give an example for that. As far as what I'm talking about, that I don't believe. But there are that 0.0001% of the population, all the rich and powerful entities, people, organizations that do control the world, that do control the rest of us, 99.999% of the population. That is a fact. And again, the specifics on everything they do, everything they've done, everything they're planning, that again, you can reach out to me and for specifics on that. I'll be more than happy to kind of go over all that with you and all the research that I've done over the last 10 years on this. But the main thing is the main thing about this is that those of you that are not awake, if you don't wake up soon, you're going to be blindsided by the other parts of this agenda. So, mandatory vaccines, mandatory microchipping. They're making it seem like it's for the greater good. They're making it seem like you're protecting yourselves as well as other people. But there's a whole nother agenda for this, and it is the most evil thing you can ever imagine. And again, if you want detail on that, feel free to contact me. I will go over exactly why they're doing what they're doing, and it is not to help you. It is not because they have your best interest in mind. It is not because they have your health in mind. It is the absolute opposite of that. And it's all about control, power, other things as well. But at least start to look into this if you're not yet awake. That's all I'm saying, because you don't want to be one of those ones that goes under their quote unquote power and ends up getting very, very sick because of what they're doing to us. So just the first step is awareness. The second step is to fight and do something about it. And what I've been trying to do is get as many people as possible to to stand up to this and to fight it. So now I want to say one other quick thing, and that is about President Trump. And this is not political by any means. This is true with any president that has ever been in office. And that is that the president is only privy to certain information. So Trump, as we know, is very, very strong in his convictions. If he knew everything that was going on, he would leak it out, and something, let's just say something very bad would happen to him. So that is definitely true. So there's a lot of things that these elitists are keeping from Trump so that he does not, either purposely or accidentally on purpose leak it out. Because that would obviously not be good for their agenda. And we relate this to Kennedy, and I'm not going to go too far into that, but we relate it to Kennedy. Most of you know kind of what I'm talking about here. But there's a lot of stuff, like I said, that they purposely don't tell our president right now, Donald Trump. Now, there are certain parts of this that he is aware of. And you saw that kind of with the 180 he did on whether or not to shut down the country. At first, he didn't want to do that, and then he only wanted to do it for a short period of time. And he says it's because he found out the virus was a lot, more vicious than it actually is. And that is not entirely true. So he does know some of what's going on, but he's not privy to all the information. So Trump, in a lot of it, is naive. So what I'm saying is, him not standing up for us as a people as opposed to us as a government is not entirely his fault, because he does not have all the information, and that is by design. Now, the stuff that he is aware of, that's kind of going on behind the scenes, that again, I don't blame Trump for not revealing that, because something would happen to him if he did. So you know so he's doing the best he can with the information that he has. And and then the part that he's not doing the best that he can with the information he has, he can't. He's being silenced on that. So so that's what I'll say about that. Trump is not to blame for not speaking out against it because of those reasons. And and so I just kind of wanted to say that. And just in general, I mean, I think that I think he's handled this pretty well based on the information he has. I do not believe, and this is just an opinion, but I do not believe that he really knows the full agenda behind this COVID-19. I don't believe that he really knows that social distancing is a scam, which it is. And I'll be happy to go more into that if you want the information on that, as far as we're being lied to about how this virus actually spreads. I truly believe, and I could be wrong, but I truly believe that Trump is not aware of all of the lies about COVID-19 and how it spreads and how it doesn't spread. And so I truly believe that he believes that social distancing, is a good thing and is halting the spread, even though, we know, those of us in the know it's not. Social distancing is a scam, because of how the virus spreads compared to how it doesn't spread. But none of us really knows how much of this Trump knows and how much of this he doesn't. None of us really knows. I can only give you kind of my best opinion based on an educated guess, based on how Trump addresses the country, and what parts he's telling the full truth and what parts he's withholding, based on what he actually knows is going on behind the scenes. So and so that's kind of what I'll say about that. But you can disagree with that, and that's okay, because that's the part that none of us really knows 100% for sure. But I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. And so the social distancing, the isolation, the stay-at-home orders, that is all by design. That is all for power and control of us as a society, nothing else. And it's a test run to see what they can get away with in the future. If they see enough people following the quote unquote guidelines, wearing masks, doing the social, thinking the masks are actually going to protect them against the virus, and all this other stuff, that kind of tells them what they can get away with in the future, as far as what they have planned, and when, and for how many people, and all of that stuff. So it's a test run, and there is proof. There is 100% proof that this is a test run, and I will be more than happy to show you the details on that as well, to tell you the details and actually show you the proof that that this is all just a test run, and then this was all they planned this quote unquote pandemic before it happened. They planned this whole thing before it happened. So anyways, I don't want to get into the whole details of what's really going on behind the scenes. The purpose of this video, again, is to maybe crack something in those of you that still aren't aware of what's really going on behind the scenes, and just open your mind, just a little bit, to get more information on it. Either I invite you to get it from myself. I also invite you to get it from other reliable sources as well, which I'd be more than happy to give you those reliable sources. So that's kind of why I wanted to make this video. As always, it ended up being a little bit longer than normal, but um, and again, my other purpose here is to help you through your health challenges, whatever health challenge you have, to help you heal naturally from those health challenges based on stuff again that I know 100% works with my own experience, with my own research, and all that. And anytime you have questions, hey, I have this, does this work? I can tell you, right away whether it works or not. I can also give you tips on, and I've done videos on this, but I can also give you tips on the coronavirus specifically. What works for that, what doesn't, what helps as a preventative, what doesn't, and all that kind of stuff, because I understand the science behind the coronavirus, and a lot of that so-called science that you hear from so-called experts, like I said, it's completely false, completely misleading, completely false. I will give you the truth on how the virus spreads, how it doesn't spread, what the mechanism is in the body for it to attack your body. And so I can tell you how to boost your immune system, and I can tell you if you are one of those unlucky people, few unlucky people, very few unlucky people who actually get it and it is COVID-19, I can tell you how to help get rid of it naturally. And it is not like other viruses. Let me be very clear on that. It is not like other viruses. So some stuff that helps with other viruses will help with this. Other stuff that helps with other viruses will not help with this. And there are specific treatments for coronavirus that actually work that you would need to administer. And I did a video on this too. Completely staying away from ibuprofen and naproxen. So that is a sure way to completely have this virus take over your whole body if you get it, is by taking naproxen or ibuprofen, especially ibuprofen. So stay away from those. You can take Tylenol. Tylenol's in a different category. It doesn't activate that ACE2 enzyme that I talked about in the other videos. And again, I don't want to get too much into detail about it because I did talk about this before. And if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. So that's pretty much it for this video. And and I really appreciate all of my friends on Facebook that are also in the know about what's really going on. And and let's keep let's keep educating the people that are not yet in the know on what's really going on. Those of them that want to know, those of you watching the video that really want to know. So if you've watched the video to this point, I'm going to assume you want to know. Everybody else has kind of dropped off by now. And those are people that I just can't do anything about. And I was conversing with some of those people today and yesterday on Facebook. And there's just people that will never wake up. They're going to be in denial for the rest of their lives. And we just have to leave it alone. And so there's nothing else we can do. Like I told them, they're all going to find out the hard way. Of what's going on in the coming 10 years. So yeah, that's what I've got. And let's talk some more about this. Feel free to reach out. All right, see you in the next video.